When this game was announced, it became among my most anticipated games, not only for its visual aesthetic and old school gameplay. It's a Postal game, a storied franchise that has been maligned by critics, from a developer that champions zero words in promotionals, and showing no restraint to the extreme parody that they and everything will be cast in. Of course, Brain Damage was being developed by another studio, Hyperstrange, and was taking the gameplay to a new direction. So I wondered, will they preserve the identity that has made this series so special to many of us? It makes me happy to say that they did. The Postal Dude starts the game by informing what's up.
Listen up, as I said, this is my dream. Like, you will encounter things so fucked up that the current global situation will sound perfectly sane in comparison. Once you see this shit, there's no coming back. And it all started with a TV.
His world has always been depicted as unhinged, but unbinding the logic, the order further through Dream. What an awesome idea. Not only does it open up Brain Damage to fresh scenarios, but allows for experimentation across the board. Each of the 3 episodes has their levels mapped out like classic Doom, and follows the Postal tradition of a humble objective achieved through chaos. It did change the FPS format, but everything the game does is series appropriate, like opening paths by pissing on targets, fighting off enemies guarding a sacred secret, and consuming power-ups like hot sauce to make your pee into hellfire. Hell, you even fight coronavirus itself as an enemy. Stuff like this made me smile, how Brain Damage could experiment while remaining true.
Karen! Get me the manager!
Which prompts the guns and gameplay. You get an arsenal of FPS staples like a machine gun, rocket launcher, and shotgun, each themed appropriately for the Postal Dude, but also weaponry more unique to him like a cat launcher and his choice of arrow.
You can't hurt me.
They all have a secondary fire, but by far the most useful was the grappling hook from the shotgun. This thing has practically no cooldown. I was using it all the time. Even if the enemy was a couple feet away, I launched myself at them for the momentum. Momentum being key, as every weapon felt useful for the rhythm of combat. Aside from the shovel, I barely use it other than for fodder. You'll often have to consider your tactics, your approach. Once you develop the sense of what to use and the habit of quick switching, you feel unstoppable. If you happen to master the timing for a kick, you even will be. Nearly every enemy shoots a projectile you can reflect back. The timing varies and the window is tight, but it's so gratifying to pull off. After a point, I seldom attempted it though, as I fail often and take the hit instead. And with my first playthrough being on Postal and my second on Hard, each was lethal. It's the thing that will make footage stand apart. To see chains of them pulled off, like something else that keeps with momentum. Strafe jumping. Slide and jump and you're actually more mobile. Not only beneficial to get around, but to evade. Some of those projectiles I couldn't consistently kick back get flung fast. It works in any direction too, and feels like it was the intended mode of movement. Stretches like this assure me of it. But, if pressed, the Postal Dude can fall back on items, like his trusted health pipe.
Well, this can't be good for me. But yeah, it really is.
The gameplay is good, no worries. What about negatives? Not much really. I did get a couple bugs where the game would break the lighting, or put me out of bounds. Here, I've entered the hyperdimension. This only occurred in my second playthrough and would only resolve by reloading from the main menu. Nothing that more the experience to be resolved in a patch. There are a few areas that felt slow on my first playthrough, but fine on my second. Where I felt this most was in the second level of episode 1, where you'll enter the first arena fight, made worse by a lacking inventory up to that point. For the most part, they are well designed and do seem to direct you in the right direction, but I did find myself thinking the gameplay was best in smaller areas. Where my opinion didn't change from one playthrough to the next is the third episode wholesale. It feels off to the remainder of the game, not in a way that kills the experience, but tapers it off. It feels the least Postal. The game is bare when it comes to graphical options, and with VSync disabled, the FPS will fluctuate around 240 FPS down to 144 at 1440p. This with the Ryzen 5800X and an RTX 3080. That range is massive. I had to go through NVIDIA control panel to set a locked frame rate. Will likely be optimized in time, but damn. There aren't much to report on extras either, with the main incentive to replay being a speedrunner leaderboard for each level. That isn't really a con to me, nor is the average playthrough being around 6 hours. 6 hours though that doesn't outstay its welcome, feeling perfect. It merits mentioning as I know it won't be for some.
Only my weapon understands me.
Oh, yes, I do.
Ah! Jesus, now I'm gonna shit myself. But I better find some TP first.
Hyperstrange did a great job in adapting Postal to a modern old-school FPS format, where each of his shifts can be explained as components of the Postal Dude's dreams. Even with a few sections that were of mixed pace, the fun I had with brain damage was nearly constant across 2 playthroughs on the hardest difficulties. From the outset, the gameplay is solid and technical. Make judicious use of it and items and you'll always dominate the opposition. I recommend it, but with the caveat that the Postal series is proudly crude and doesn't give a damn to conform to propriety. You'll be exposed to things that will push the limits for some people, but that's part of the series' charm, to satirize with abandon. And none of what you've seen or heard has seemed extreme thus far. Consider picking it up, as the worlds could use more fans.
The fuck?
Thanks for watching. I'm in disbelief to the number of badass games announced each year from Realms Deep. I pretty much end up wishlisting every announcement. I had intended to make this review at launch, but life got in the way. But anyway, if you enjoyed the video, please click the like button. If you have anything you wish to share, please leave a comment, or if you found potential in me and what I can produce, please subscribe. Once more, thank you all, and have a good one.